Hey, first grade, today we are going to finish up our abominable snowman or Yeti, and you should have shown this to me so I could check to make sure it was finished. And when I gave you the thumbs up, I gave you a background piece of blue paper, and then you need to go to the art store to get some scissors. You hold them like this when you carry them back to your desk. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our Yeti out. Now, when you cut your Yeti out, it's probably going to cut your name off. So in fact, before I forget, let's go ahead and write our name on the back of the paper I gave you so that we make sure that we know that that's ours. Okay, now we're going to take our scissors, we're going to open them up like an alligator's mouth, and we're going to put our paper inside and squeeze and turn the paper. And we're going to carefully go all the way around the outside of our Yeti. Now, if you're having a hard time going around some of the bumps that you made for texture on the fur, you can do what I do. I just cut a little bit that I can reach, and then I cut from the side and get the rest. So I'll have lots of little pieces that I throw away at the end. So if this is easier for you, I highly recommend trying it out. It might be. So you can cut up where you can reach, and if you can't reach to go backwards, that's too hard, come around this way. You can also, like if you have little tiny pieces, like if you made your horn really tiny and you're worried it's going to come off when you cut it out, you can kind of go around it a little bit. Like for example, if you need to kind of cut and leave a little bit there, that's all right. But I think I can go ahead and turn my paper and cut this out. So just try your best, and you can come ask me for help. If you cut something off on accident, I can always glue it back on for you. But this is a great practice on how to use scissors to cut out more complicated shapes. So you see how I'm kind of cutting little shapes out first, and then I can cut the rest of this off if it's in the way. So. Another thing you can do is you can kind of cut around like that and kind of get it out of the way first, and then you can go back and get a little bit closer. That also is something I will do when I'm having a hard time cutting around something that's complicated. So take your time. Ooh, look right here, this tiny little gap. I'm just going to ignore that. I'm just going to cut around that because that's so tiny that would be really difficult and it might rip anyway. I can also turn my paper if I need to. And then I'm going to cut around the outside of my sweater. This is the easy part. And boom, I am finished cutting that out. So I'm going to take all my pieces, put them in the recycling bin. My blue paper that I should have already wrote my name on the back. And we are going to glue this down to the bottom. So we're going to line it up with the bottom. Just like that, line it up with the bottom. Then we're going to take our glue, and we're just going to go ahead and use a glue stick today for this one. So open up your glue stick, make sure there's a little bit coming up. You might need to twist it down or up. Flip over your Yeti. We always put the glue on the smallest piece. So the Yeti is smaller than the blue piece. So we're going to put our glue on the back of the Yeti. We're not going to put glue all over this because we don't know where it needs to go. We're going to go around the edges of the smaller thing. So we're going around the edges of our Yeti. Once I go around all of the edges, so I have a nice thick layer around the edges, then I can just do a little bit in the middle, and that is probably all I need. So now I'm going to put my lid back on my glue stick, flip my Yeti over, place it down, line it up. Once I'm happy with it, then I can smooth it out with my fingers. So be really careful because my chalk is kind of messy. Then I'm going to flip it over and give my paper a nice massage. Make sure it's on there nice and tight. I'm going to massage the whole thing because I really don't want this to come off. And then flip it over. That is on there really well now. So I'm going to put my glue stick away. All right, so the next thing you're going to do is decide, are you going to use paint Or are you going to use a white oil pastel? White oil pastels are a lot cleaner. So if you don't want to get messy today, you can just kind of clean off an oil pastel. And what we're doing is we're making a shape like this. This is a snowflake. So we're going to make an X and then another X that goes inside. Let's try that again. So you can make an X or a plus sign, then draw a line that goes in the middle, and then a line that goes across the middle. And that is a snowflake. So you can make little ones. You can make big ones. You can also make little snowballs that maybe are falling from the sky because it is wintertime, it is cold. You could even draw some mountains if you want to go get some other colors of oil pastel. You can draw some mountains behind the Yeti because we know the Yeti lives in the mountains. So maybe if you draw some white mountains, they would look like this. And then you could fill it in all the way around. Maybe you have another mountain over here. This one's bumpy. I'd have to fill that whole thing in if I did that. Okay. Now I'll show you how to use the paint. If you're using paint, you only need one color, just white. So you're going to go over to the sink and get a plate, and we're going to put a little bit of white paint on this. If your neighbor already has white paint, just share with them. So we're going to open up the white, put a little bit on there. I can help you with this. That is enough. Then there's two things you can use. You can use a broken paintbrush and you can dab it in the white paint to make printmaking snowflakes that are falling down. These are the circle kind. Or if you want to make smaller ones, you can use the other side and just dab all the way around because it is a cold, snowy place that our Yeti lives in. The other thing you can do is you can put that on your tray and you can get a piece of cardboard. Here's my piece of cardboard. This is also called printmaking because we're not using a paintbrush for this. We're using the cardboard and we're going to press the cardboard and we're going to use the edge to make a straight line. So if you put a little bit on the edge of your cardboard, you can press it down to make a straight line. And then you can do it again across to make like a snowflake like that. Let's try it with the longer side to make a bigger snowflake. So we're going to press down, then we're going to go across. Maybe get a little bit more paint, go across again. And now I have that kind of snowflake. So I have lots of options today to make my Yeti in a very wintry wonderland. So I'm going to go ahead and round my paper, and then when I'm finished, the good artist knows when to stop. So that looks good. I filled up most of the empty blue area, but I can still see my Yeti. I've got a little bit on my fingers, so I am ready to go ahead and put this and the plate in the sink. Now, you're not going to put this in the sink because it's made out of cardboard and it'll dissolve kind of with the water. So you're going to give this back to Miss Hedesheimer, but the rest of it can go in the sink. Unless your neighbor needs it, just leave it out for them. And then you are ready to clean up. So we're going to put this on the drying rack to dry, wipe our hands off, and then wipe the table if there's anything on the table. Guys, awesome job on your Yeti. I can't wait to see how they turned out. I will see you